All right. All right. Let's get ready to go live. Gonna have to test all them feedback loops. See if everything's doing all right. Like and subscribe, everybody. Hit the button, do the thing. Check me out on buymeacoffee.com. Let's get into this thing proper. One of those old Frank Monday productions coming at ya.
Okay guys, our next comedian is a bit of a treat, to be honest. It is a bit of a treat. He's been away for 3 years. He is now back from the dead. Well, America. Give a big round of applause for Frank Monday.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that shit. Nick's a good man. You know what that's like, being a good man. It's tough in a fucking city like this, though. You know, nobody gives a fuck. They're like, God damn, that's some crazy shit. Motherfucker wearing high heels and shit. Looking good, too, huh? Yeah, you guys like that. That's all right. It's okay to fall down occasionally. I do that sometimes. All right, being back in the Jing is pretty fucking nerve-wracking. You know, performing for 4 minutes straight. The only other time I get this anxious when I gotta perform for 4 minutes straight is when I gotta make love to my wife.
Onion ring. Yeah, they're all right.
Hey, be watching for the Star Wars blog Rebellion coming out in December. You'll love it. It's follow-up to the award-winning Generations. Oh yeah. There you go, Frank.
Here's my burger. Broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight's old Peking, Frank Monday coming at you once again like Finnegan. So if you've got a yen to expand your kin, then let's get zen and tune in with Frank Monday, FM radio. Hit the like buttons, guys. Show your love for the Algabots. Make sure you keep them barking like Pavlov's dog. Check me out on buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. I am broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone Old Peking. So welcome back, Wayfarer. Whoever you are, wherever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission, you are welcome. Wizard, Warrior, Wanderer, Wayfarer, and Wildcat alike. Add up with the lead in your pencil. Old Frank Monday. FM radio. We do have a visitor out in Happy Land. Good to see you. Apiar says that not familiar with the stream, but it actually showed up in their feed. Wow, I find that pretty hard to believe, but you know, it is what it is, right? Merry Christmas to you, traveler. I hope you are doing well, and I hope this finds you well. So good magic on that. We are going to be getting into a little I and Thou today, so I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it or not. I will show you the book real quick so that you can look into it on your own if you so desire. There it is there. Oh, got to pull up the old Frank Monday. There he is. Yeah. I and Thou, that's the book, guys. Martin Buber. We're getting into Buber's book, as it were, right? There's the Buber, there's the Monday. Booby Monday. Good stuff. Yeah, so we're going to be getting into some I and Thou, Martin Buber. But I thought that I would like to lead you in a moment of prayer. So if you know it, please say it with me. It is the Adoration of Abraxas. Let me find the title there for you. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness, he who was, is, and shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere, and a cleansing wind to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those secret things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed, so mote it be. Amen. Yeah, good magic. Hail unto thee who art raw in thy rising, even unto thee who art raw in thy strength, who travellest over the heavens at the uprising of the sun. Tahuti standeth in his splendor at the prow, and Rahor abideth at the helm. Hail unto thee from the abodes of the night. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power, silence is strength, will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. For is not love the law? Love under will. And do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. As we wander into the abodes of the future portion of this broadcast, guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the invocation of Tahuti. This is a really good one. This one is going to be read for you by Israel Ragardi, Invocation of Thoth. Let's check it out with no further ado. For you and you and you and you.
Invocation of Thoth. Procul, O procul esti profani, or lasti ompeda. In the name of the mighty and terrible one, I proclaim that I have banished the shells unto their habitations. I invoke Tahuti, the Lord of wisdom and of utterance, the God that cometh forth from the veil. O thou majesty of the Godhead, wisdom-crowned Tahuti, Lord of the gates of the universe, thee thee I invoke. O thou of the ibis head, thee I invoke. Thou who wieldest the wand of double power, thee I invoke. Thou who bearest in thy left hand the rose and cross of light and life, thee I invoke. Thou whose head is as an emerald, and thy nemesis as the night sky blue, thee I invoke. Thou whose skin is of flaming orange as though it burned in a furnace, thee I invoke. Behold, I am yesterday, today, and the brother of tomorrow. I am born again and again. Mine is the unseen force whereof the gods are sprung, which is as life unto the dwellers in the watchtowers of the universe. I am the charioteer of the east, lord of the past and of the future. I see by mine own inward light, Lord of resurrection, who cometh forth from the dust, and my birth is from the house of death. O ye two divine hawks upon your pinnacles, who keep watch over the universe, ye who accompany the bier to the house of rest, who pilot the ship of wrong, ever advancing onwards the heights of heaven, Lord of the shrine which standeth in the center of the earth. Behold, he is in me, and I in him. Mine is the radiance wherein Ptah floateth over the firmament. I travel upon high. I tread upon the firmament of new. I raise that flashing flame with the lightning of mine eye, ever rushing on in the splendor of the daily glorified Ra, giving my life to the dwellers of earth. If I say, come up upon the mountains, the celestial waters shall flow at my word. For I am Ra incarnate, Kepra, created in the flesh. I am the eidolon of my father Tamu, lord of the city of the sun. The God who commands is in my mouth. The God of wisdom is in my heart. My tongue is the sanctuary of truth, and a guard sitteth upon my lips. My word is accomplished every day, and the desire of my heart realizes itself as that of Ptah when he createth his works. I am eternal, therefore all things are as my designs, therefore do all things obey my word. Therefore do thou come forth unto me from thine abode in the silence, unutterable wisdom, or light, or power. So, Hermes, Mercury, Odin, by whatever name I call thee, thou art still nameless to eternity. Come thou forth, I say, and aid and guard me in this work of art. Thou, star of the east, that didst conduct the Magi, thou art the same all present in heaven and in hell. Thou that vibratest between the light and the darkness, rising, descending, changing ever, yet ever the same. The sun is thy father, thy mother the moon. The wind hath borne thee in its bosom, and earth hath ever nourished the changeless Godhead of thy youth. Come thou forth, I say, come thou forth, and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God the vast one may be obedient unto me.
So it is Commander that confirmed. So mote it be. All right, we'll go ahead and get right into it, guys. We are reading I and Thou by Martin Buber. It's the 1970 edition. printed by, let's see here, published by Charles Scribner's Sons in the category of religion and philosophy. There is an ISBN if you're looking for it. It's 0-684-71725-5. So definitely check it out. And with no further ado, we're on page 82. The world is twofold for man in accordance with his twofold attitude. He perceives the being that surrounds him, plain things and beings as things. He perceives what happens around him, plain processes and actions as processes, things that consist of qualities and processes, that consist of moments, things recorded in terms of spatial coordinates, and processes recorded in terms of temporal coordinates. Things and processes that are bound by other things and processes, and capable of being measured against and compared with those others. An ordered world, a detached world. This world is somewhat reliable. It has density and duration. Its articulation can be surveyed. One can get it out again and again. One recounts it with one's eyes closed, and then checks with one's eyes open. There it stands, right next to your skin, if you think of it that way, or nestled in your soul, if you prefer that. It is your object and remains that, according to your pleasure, and remains primarily alien both outside and inside you. You perceive it and take it for your truth. It permeates itself to be taken by you, but it does not give itself to you. It is only about it that you can come to an understanding with others, although it takes a somewhat different form for everybody. It is prepared to be a common object for you, but you cannot encounter others in it. Without it, you cannot remain alive. Its reliability preserves you. But if you were to die into it, then you would be buried in nothingness. Or man encounters being and becoming as what confronts him, always only one being, and everything only as a being. What is there reveals itself to him in the occurrence, and what occurs there happens to him as being. Nothing else is present but this one cosmically. Sorry guys, readers aside. Bit of a stumble there. The word was hyphenated across two lines. I'll reread. Nothing else is present but this one cosmically. Measure and comparison have fled. It is up to you how much of the immeasurable becomes reality for you. The encounters do not order themselves to become a world, but each is for you a sign of the world order. They have no association with each other, but every one guarantees your association with the world. The world that appears to you in this way is unreliable, for it appears always new to you, and you cannot take it by its word. It lacks density, for everything in it permeates everything else. It lacks duration, for it comes even when not called and vanishes even when you cling to it. It cannot be surveyed. If you try to make it surveyable, you lose it. It comes to fetch you, and if it does not reach you or encounter you, it vanishes, but it comes again, transformed. It does not stand outside you. It touches your ground. If you say, "Soul of my soul," you have not said too much, but beware of trying to transpose it into your soul. That way you destroy it. It is your present. You have a present only insofar as you have it, and you can make it into an object for you and experience and use it. You must do that again and again, and then you have no present anymore. Between you and it, there is a reciprocity of giving. You say you to it and give yourself to it. It says you to you and gives itself to you. You cannot come to an understanding about it with others. You are lonely with it, but it teaches you to encounter others and to stand your ground in such encounters. And through the grace of its advents and the melancholy of its departures, it leads you to that you in which the lines of relation, though parallel, intersect. It does not help you to survive. It only helps you to have intimations of eternity. The it world hangs together in space and time. The you world does not hang together in space and time. The individual you must become an it when the event of relation has run its course. The individual it can become a you by entering into the event of relation. These are the two basic privileges of the it world. They induce man to consider the it world as the world in which one has to live, and also can live comfortably. And that even offers us all sorts of stimulations and excitements, activities and knowledge. In this firm and wholesome chronicle, the you moments appear as queer, lyric, dramatic episodes. Their spell may be seductive, but they pull us dangerously to extremes, loosening the well-tried structure, leaving behind more doubt than satisfaction, shaking up our security, altogether uncanny, altogether indispensable, since one must, after all, return into the world. Why not stay in it in the first place? Why not call to order that which confronts us and send it home into objectivity? And when one cannot get around saying you, perhaps to one's father, wife, companion, why not say you and mean it? After all, producing the sound you with one's vocal cords does not by any means entail speaking the uncanny basic word. Even whispering an amorous you with one's soul is hardly dangerous, as long as in all seriousness one means nothing but experiencing and using. One cannot live in the pure present. It would consume us if care were not taken that it is overcome quickly and thoroughly. But in pure past one can live. In fact, only there can a life be arranged. One only has to fill every moment with experiencing and using, and it ceases to burn. And in all the seriousness of truth, listen. Without it, a human being cannot live. But whoever lives only with that is not human. All right, and that brings to an end section 1 of I and Thou. It's taken us 11 sessions to get through it. The first part, there it says there is a second part. I believe there are 4 parts total. The first part was approximately, let me see here, 50 through 84, 30 pages long. In, what is this? 5 by... Not exactly sure. I'd have to do the measurement. Ooh, maybe it has the measurement on the front page. The opposing page, the page of publication. No, it just says it's trade paper, originally in trade cloth, printed in the United States, 1970. Translation by Charles Scribner's Sons, copyright by Walter Kaufman. There is no word on the dimensions of the book. I'd have to have a ruler handy, which I do not. First part is I and You. We just covered that. We covered the Word, the history, and God. Second part here is going to be primal forms of religious life: magic, sacrifice, mystery, and prayer. The third part is entitled Knowledge of God and Law of God. It includes myth, dogma, law, and teaching. And the there's a fifth part. So the fourth part is person and community, which includes the founder, the priest, the prophet, the reformer, and the solitary. And then finally, the fifth part is the power and the kingdom. Forever and ever. Amen. That first part was 30 pages. Let's see. Let's get an approximation on the second part. Second part looks like it's a little over 30. Let's see here. If I can find the heading. All right. Yeah, second part's a little longer. It's from pages 87 to 122. How much is that? 13 and 22, 37. Nigh 40 pages. And then the rest of the book is only going to account for like 60 pages, so maybe 20 or so pages per part to finish. Yeah, only about 10 pages in the very last part, 8 in fact. And then the third and fourth parts. Third part, let me see, where's the fourth part start? Don't know, can't find it. It's all right. We'll deal with it at another time. For now, we're going to be starting the second part of I and Thou by Martin Buber. And it begins on page 87, I believe I said. Yeah, page 87. This is the part in the first section, in fact, that I really was interested in reading when I picked up the book. Everything else is just adding to the value of getting some context and a reference for what Martin Buber was looking to develop with this work. I do got to drop a couple things backstage, guys, so give me a quick second. I think we're looking good. I will remind you, Wayfarer, please hit the like and subscribe. That they say that helps out the channel. I don't doubt it, all right? Okay, so second part. However, the history of the individual. Why did he start with however? However, the history of the individual and that one of the human race may diverge in other respects. They agree in this at least. Both signify a progressive increase of the it world. The individual and that of the human race. However, the history of the individual and the human race may diverge in other respects. They agree in this at least. Both signify a progressive increase of the it world. Yeah, makes sense. Sorry, I was bumping the mic there. Trying to get everything set up correctly for you guys. Old Frank Monday here at the temple, working hard for you this evening. Shabbat shalom to all my J-Dogs out there in Happy Land. Hope you guys are doing well. Regarding the history of the race, this is often doubted. People point out that the successive cultures begin with a primitive stage that is colored differently, but always has essentially the same structure, involving a small world of objects, and thus it is the life of each individual culture and not that of the race that is held to correspond to the life of the individual. But if we disregard those cultures that seem to be isolated, we find that those are under the historical influence of others, take over their it world at a certain stage that is not so early but precedes the Great Age, sometimes by immediately accepting it from a culture that is still contemporary, as did the Greeks from the Egyptians, at other times indirectly from a past culture, as Occidental Christendom accepted the Greek it world. They enlarge their it world not only through their own experience, but also by accepting alien influences. And it is only then that the it world has grown in this way, experiences its crucial expansion, which involves discovery. Let us ignore for the moment the overwhelming share in this development of the vision and deeds of the you world. Generally, the it world of every culture is therefore more comprehensive than that of its predecessors. And in spite of some stoppages and apparent regressions, the progressive increase of the it world is clearly discernible in history. It is not essential in this connection whether the world of a culture should be characterized more as finite or whether we should attribute to it so-called infinity or, more correctly speaking, non-finitude. A finite world may very well contain more components, things, and processes than an infinite one. It should also be noted that we must compare not only the extent of their knowledge of nature, but also that of their social differentiation and their technical achievements, because both expand the world of objects. The basic relation of man to the it world includes experience, which constitutes this world ever again, and use, which leads it toward its multifarious purpose, the preservation, alleviation, and equipment of human life. With the extent of the it world, the capacity for experiencing and using it must also increase. To be sure, the individual can replace direct experience more and more with indirect experience, the acquisition of information, and he can abbreviate use more and more until it becomes specialized utilization. A continual improvement of capacity from generation to generation is nevertheless indispensable. This is what is usually meant when people speak of a progressive development of the life of the spirit. This certainly involves the real linguistic sin against the spirit, for this life of the spirit is usually the obstacle that keeps man from living in the spirit. And at best, it is only the matter that has to be mastered and formed before it can be incorporated. The obstacle for the improvement of the capacity for experience and use generally involves a decrease in man's power to relate, that power which alone can enable man to live in the spirit. Yeah, blessings to the people. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Let's get a quick musical break. We're reading I and Thou by Martin Buber, 1970 edition. Let's see what we get going on here with Frank Monday.
Kung Fu Swang.
Lunar Light Entertainment proudly presents. It's the Monday Night Swing Review with Frank Monday.
Wow, there's bacon on it too. Nice surprise there.
5, 6, 7, 8, kick and kick and kick. Oh, shake it and shake it and shake it up. Shake and shake and shake it up. And you half break. Push and you push and you cross over. Push and you push and you cross over. Push and you push and you cross 3 times. Boom. High, tacky ante up for a beat. High. Sides of the bottom, boom, bye, boom, bye, hey, ho, boom, ah, half break, back, forward, slide, half break, all right, wait for it. 5, 6, 7, 8, play.
Thank you for watching Lunar Light Entertainment. Have a great day. All right. Yeah, hope you're having a great day out there. From Lunar Light Entertainment. Here in Twilight Zone Old Peking, we are going through I and Thou with Martin Buber. The back of the book, the blurb, says that Martin Buber's I and Thou has long been acclaimed as a classic. Many prominent writers have acknowledged its influence on their work. Students of intellectual history consider it a landmark. And the generation born since World War II considers Buber as one of its prophets. The need for a new English translation had been felt for many years. The old version was marred by many inaccuracies and misunderstandings. And its recurrent use of the archaic thou was seriously misleading. Now, Professor Walter Kaufmann, a distinguished writer and philosopher in his own right, who was close to Buber, has translated the work at the request of Buber's family. He has added a wealth of informative footnotes to clarify obscurities and bring the reader closer to the original. And he has written a long prologue that opens up new perspectives on the book and on Buber's thought. This volume should provide a new basis for all future discussions of Buber. So there you have it there. Walter Kaufman got that done. Good man. I can appreciate it. I hope you could appreciate it too, Wayfarer. One way you can show your appreciation is to head over to buymeacoffee.com, pull something in the tip jar. I certainly appreciate that. Another way you can show your appreciation is hit that old like button. Get it done. Click on it. Touch it. Poke at it. Pardon me. Stroke it. Rub it. Flick it. Twist it. Pinch it. Get in there and play with that like button, guys. Click it back and forth 2 or 3 times. Make sure it's an odd number of times, though, so it stays liked. All right. Clickety, click, click, click. Yeah. No new horror can be more terrible than the daily torture of the commonplace. Let's get a little more of this boober in us, right? You guys like booby so far? Where did we leave off? But it is here that the fate of the rational event rears up most powerfully. The more powerful the response, the more powerfully it ties down the you, and as by a spell binds it into an object. Only silence toward the you, the silence of all tongues, the taciturn waiting in the unformed, undifferentiated pre-linguistic word, leaves the you free and stands together with it in the reserve where the spirit does not manifest itself but is. All response binds the you into the it world. That is the melancholy of man, and that is his greatness. For thus knowledge, thus works, thus image and example come into being among the living. But whatever has thus been changed into it and frozen into a thing, among things is still endowed with the meaning and the destiny to change back ever again. Ever again. That was the intention in the hour of the Spirit when it bestowed itself upon man and begot the response in him. The object shall catch fire and become present, returning to the element from which it issued, to be beheld and lived by men as present. I like his imagery of the alchemical process of things coming, and he doesn't say it in this way, I'm paraphrasing and I might be inferring, but things coming from the present and commingling with the past. Things coming from the future, coming into the future, coming from the future into the present, commingling with the past, and then igniting in flame or light, right? So everything's burning in the mind. Like the light at my desk lamp, my computer. They're all burning. They're all alive with fire and plasma. And that's what we see in the present moment. Oftentimes a flame, even though it could go through a process of ignition, burning, and extinguishing, it's mostly a present affair, right? A transformation. And so it's a clever way to look at it. I like it. I can appreciate it. I can jive with Martin Buber. Mr. Booby. Get back into a little bit more of it here in a minute. How are you doing? How are you doing out there in Happy Land, Wayfarer? Have you had a lovely Christmas? Did you get to spend time with your family? I had a nice little family experience. Got to go to a Christmas village, sing some carols. Had a lovely Christmas party at work as well. Got a gift from Secret Santa. Got a bottle of red wine, a Merlot. I think it's a German bottle. colleague gave it to me. Very nice. I put it in reserve, though I haven't opened it yet. I've been suffering from a bit of a toothache, and chances are gonna have to see the dentist again, once again, like Finnegan. I'm sure our friend, the leader of Team Evil, could appreciate that. It's one of his favorite things to point out, are the ad hominems. It's always fun, right? Old leader of Team Evil. Where did we get up to? Yeah, catch fire. The object shall catch fire and become present, returning to the element from which it issued, to be beheld and lived by men as present. The fulfillment of this meaning and this destiny is frustrated by the man who has become reconciled to the it world as something that is to be experienced and used, and who holds down what is tied into it instead of freeing it, who observes it instead of heeding it, and instead of receiving it, utilizes it. Knowledge, as he beholds what confronts him, its being is disclosed to the knower. What he beheld as present, he will have to comprehend as an object, compared with objects, assigned a place in the order of objects, and describe and analyze objectively. Only as an it can it be absorbed into the store of knowledge. But in the act of beholding, it was no thing among things, no event among events. It was present exclusively. Isn't that interesting? It is not in the law that it is afterward derived from the appearance, but in the appearance itself that the being communicates itself. That we think the universal is merely an unreeling of the skin-like event that was beheld in the particular, in a confrontation, and now it is locked into the it form of conceptual knowledge. Whoever unlocks it and beholds it again as present fulfills the meaning of the act of knowledge as something that is actual and active between men. But knowledge can also be pursued by stating, so that is how matters stand. This is the name of the things. This is how it is constituted. That is where it belongs. Why has it become an it is then taken as an it, experienced and used as an it, employed along with other things for the project of finding one's way in the world, and eventually for the project of conquering the world. Art, too, as he beholds what confronts him, the form discloses itself to the artist. He conjures it into an image. The image does not stand in a world of gods, but in this great world of men. Of course, it is there, even when no human eye afflicts it, but it sleeps. The Chinese poet relates that men do not want to hear the song that he was playing on his flute of jade. Then he played it to the gods, and they inclined their ears. And ever since, men too have listened to the song. And thus he went from the gods to those with whom the image cannot dispense. As in a dream, it looks for the encounter with man in order that he may undo the spell and embrace the form for a timeless moment. And there he comes and experiences what there is to be experienced. That is how it is made, or this is what it expresses, or its qualities are such and such. And on top of all that, perhaps also how it might rate. That's a very interesting story he told there, that little anecdotal. I gotta highlight that, guys. Give me a second. I'm gonna gather my thoughts. I'm gonna go ahead and play a song real quick, 2-minute song, and I'm gonna gather my thoughts because I have an interesting correlation on the Chinese poet and what just occurred in the text here with Martin Buber. And let me see if I can control this computer and find what I'm looking for. I believe it's in the July file. Let's see what we've got here. No. Yes, indeed. There it is there. A quick ditty by Dweller of the Dark while I gather my thoughts, Wayfarer.
Eagles flying high, cats on the prowl, devils in your bed, their whispers so loud, witches on my heels, so they'll steal, running in the dark, truth they conceal, blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think. Hounds howl at night, shadows in the light, fear in every breath, eyes wide with fright. Cards dealt by fate, no way to escape. Threads getting tight, can't see the daylight. Blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think. Cards dealt by fate, no way to escape. Threads getting tight, can't see the daylight. Blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think.
That was Dweller of the Dark here on FM radio. I am your host for the evening, Frater Francis Lunas Aristeas of the Ordo Templi Arastarte. I remind you, Wayfarer, please check me out on buymeacoffee.com. And I'm going to put a new essay up there. I had meant to have a PDF ready by Christmas, but it eluded me. However, I did write about 6 pages to include in several other documents that I'm looking to combine into a basic like workbook for spiritual development that I think will be of service to the community, at least anybody that's interested in it. I do believe that I have kind of a unique take on things. And so with that said, I hear a lot of activity out in the family room, and I'm gonna need to check on my chillins real quick. So let me see, what can I offer up here that will keep the people entertained while I go check on them and see what they're doing. Give me just a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Those old Frank Monday productions coming at ya.
Finally, they nodded rather helplessly and led the way to the Sidon stateroom. The doctor directed the captain's glance away as he unlocked the door and admitted the strange seaman. He was wrapped in bedding on the berth. The doctor was glad that the outlines were not very revealing. Somehow the
蝙蝠漫天飞，我在地上追，问准何处去，任我顺门入。Alright, y'all good looking, happy, sexy people out in YouTube land. This is Frank Monday coming at ya. This is going to be a little bit different of a kind of video. as I wanted to answer a question that I've been thinking about a little bit more now with everything going on like it is. And that is, why did I come to China anyway? Since even before I touched foot in the Central Kingdom, folks have been asking me why I came to China. Common questions have been things like, don't you know it's a communist country? Don't they do organ harvesting there? So on and so forth, ad nauseum. This is going to be a concise version of the story, palatable to a general audience. So please strap in and get ready. It all started when I was very young. My first memories of my China infatuation began with the iconic nature of the pictograms of the language itself. I recall at a very young age, maybe 5 or 6 years old, my mother had put me and my brother into a karate class, and it was there that I was exposed to Chinese characters and martial arts for the very first time. Or so I thought. I do have vague recollections of seeing a Chinese character in a Chinese restaurant. I recall seeing an object of art on the wall of the restaurant, and I was fascinated. I asked the waiter what it was a painting of because I couldn't fathom it. He said that it wasn't a picture, but was a word rather. It was the Chinese word fu, a character meaning good fortune, and it was surrounded by 5 bats. The hardwood, the prominence of the color red, the food and the chopsticks, all of these things swirled into an intoxicating childhood memory. The mystery of the Orient had me in its spell. These events launched a lifelong love of the Chinese culture ranging from Taoism, Kung Fu, language, poetry and arts, to things as obscure as Chinese medicine and Taoist magic. When I was 13 years old, my family moved from Los Angeles, California to San Diego. It was there that my older brother found a Chinese school of internal Kung Fu. Thankfully, he was smart and kind enough to force me to attend with him. He had already taken his knocks and had been there for a year without so much as learning anyone's name, but advancing quickly in the ranks based solely on his own work ethic. He was totally devoted to learning the art with a golden soul of genuineness that came from personal integrity and intrinsic value. Riding in on his coattails, I was treated with warmth and enthusiasm. The environment there was one of mutual support and empowerment. We focused on mixed martial arts applications before it was popular. Many a mystical experience transpired within those hallowed halls. Deeply secret meditation practices combined with internal iron palm and the traditional tendon washing classic or chi weightlifting became my foundational practices. At about the age of 15, I endeavored to learn the Chinese language and took a class that was being offered at the Kung Fu school on Saturdays. Little did I know this would lead me into the realm of art and calligraphy and a near obsessive focus on my penmanship. As my mother was general manager at a bookstore in our town, I spent many an after-school and weekend hour searching the shelves at that bookstore for material to advance my education in all areas related to Taoism, philosophy, self-reliance, natural living, nutrition, and especially magic. This is where I found a love for both Eastern and Western mysticism and the great work. Into my college years, my love of the Oriental arcane arts continued and intensified. I took language classes at university and extended my contact with Chinese people living in America, even taking jobs at Chinese restaurants to improve my language skills and understanding of real-world ritual. Having learned that Crowley unsuccessfully sought out Taoist masters in the heart of the Middle Kingdom during his career, I would not be deterred by the naysayers and numerous obstacles that arose out of the horrible fathoms of the abyss. Come hell or high water, I was going to China. After college, I helped a friend move to Boston, where they cordially invited me to stay on for a while and explore the city. That is where, through a magical summoning under the auspice of a shooting star, I met the love of my life. All the fates lined up. She was in the USA from Germany studying for an international degree, and when she returned to Beijing, her hometown, I sought enrollment at a university there and followed her over. The rest is your classic fairy tale story. I found work, we married, and have 2 beautiful children. I have never regretted my adventure in traveling so far to follow the Tao. However, the journey is not over, as it always has been a part of my plan to return home to the US with my family in an ongoing integration of Eastern and Western culture and completion of the great work. Thanks for watching, and please join me on my adventure of return to the land of the free and home of the brave. As above, so below, into the abodes of the day. Quit the darkness, my friends, and seek the light. Your friend and well-wisher, Frank Monday. Spring 2020. Thank you for watching Lunar Light Entertainment. Have a great day.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that I made that video when we were going into lockdown, huh? We pretty much already been in lockdown over here. Kind of a bummer, man, that whole thing. Anyway, it is what it is, right? Yeah. So we're at the hour mark, guys. I went ahead and dropped the link if anybody's interested in paneling up and chit-chatting with old Frank for a little while. A little Merry Christmas sesh, guys. It's actually the day after Christmas here. So probably the day after Christmas for you guys as well. Earliest time frames would probably be like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., something like that. So I wanted to connect a story of my own with the last part of that little section in I and Thou by Martin Buber, and that's where I'm going to leave it. But I'll remind everyone that the lines are always open for paranormal encounters. Let me see if I can pull that banner up. Where's that at? Where's that old good magic at? Where'd I put it? Where'd you do with my banner? Why you got so many banners in here that you don't use anymore? Why don't you clear out some of them old banners? That way you can find the banners you're looking for. There it is there. All right. Yeah. Open lines, paranormal encounters. I dropped the link. Make sure you check it out. Hit that button if you want to jump up and say hello. Wish me a Merry Christmas. A Merry Christmas to all of you. So in the last little section there, we read of Martin Buber's I and Thou. I'll pull it back out here. Give me a second, guys. He said art. So he's talking about art. Art 2. As he beholds what confronts him, the form discloses itself to the artist. He conjures it into an image. The image does not stand in a world of gods, but in this great world of men. Of course, it is there, even when no human eye afflicts it, but it sleeps. The Chinese poet related that men do not want to hear the song that he was playing on his flute of jade. Then he played it to the gods, and they inclined their ears. And ever since, men too have listened to the song, and thus he went from the gods to those with whom the image cannot dispense. As in a dream, it looks for the encounter with man, in order that he may undo the spell and embrace the form for a timeless moment. The paragraph goes on a little bit more, but that was the section that really touched directly to my own experience. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but maybe, I don't know, like the summer of 2015, something like that. I had been practicing the bamboo flute for a couple of years, and I like to play it pretty much every day. And obviously when you're practicing and you're in your first learning curve doing scales and stuff like that, people don't want to hear that shit. It sounds discordant. You're not very good. It takes a long time for you to get for anyone to get fluent with the instrument so that it sounds halfway decent, right? So there were about 5 different songs that I glommed onto that had historical significance and were taught to me by my teacher. One fairly advanced, but one that I really liked a lot that was pretty simple. And I played it over and over and over again, trying to get it right, trying to master it. And, people would always get annoyed, like you got to find the right times when people aren't around or whatever. And, you don't want to bother other folks with your practice. But I discovered a time when here in China, in the courtyards, they fill up with people doing music. And the song that I was working on is called Jinshe Kuangwu, or the crazy dance of the golden snake. And near my apartment downtown, under the bridge downtown, that's where I drew first blood, under the bridge downtown, right? I would go there, and they were all these old people out beating the drum and playing the flute, and they were doing that exact same song. And so I felt among kindred spirits. And I had that same experience. Nobody wanted to hear my song when I was playing it, right? And then I was traveling and I brought my flute with me because I wanted to have it with me. And I had a premonition that there would be an interesting time when I could play my flute to the gods and they would listen. And I did. I went to an old city. It's called Pingyao Gucheng, or the ancient city of Pingyao. And it's supposedly, I don't know, like 1,000-year-old city here in Beijing. Not in Beijing, but actually in, it's near, where is it near? It's near Wutaishan. So it's in the province of Xi'an. Is that right? Shanxi, my bad. West Mountain. And so I was out in the West Mountain, and my wife, it was me and my wife walking through the old city, and she said, hey, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. I'm going to go and find a bathroom. Do you need to go? And I said, no, I'll just sit here and chill. And I sat on an old brick wall, and there were a couple of pavilions nearby. And there was suddenly, when my wife left, like everybody else disappeared too. And I found myself completely alone in this ancient city. And it was a moment of high strangeness. Everything shifted. The quality of the light shifted, the hue of the sky. And I thought, hey, I've got my flute with me. Now would be the perfect time to play. No one's here. Maybe the gods will hear me. And I started to play my song. And as I started to play my song and get into it, right, the doors on one of this temple flew open, and all these beautiful maidens came out on the balcony and started dancing around to the music I was playing. It was off in the distance, probably 100 feet or so from me, but they came out and they were dancing to the music I was playing. And they seemed surreal, like they didn't seem of this world. They seemed otherworldly. And they danced and danced and danced. And as I got to the end of the song and I started to taper down, they went back in and the doors shut and it was over. And the environment shifted again. And it went back to like a normal day, and I could see tourists and people walking around again. And I came back into reality. Maybe, make of it what you want. But my wife returned and she's like, hey, I'm back. Let's go. And I never spoke of it like to anyone. I didn't tell anybody about this story for years and years and years. And I would just review it in my mind and think, yeah, what a thing, right? What a thing. Finally, I started sharing the story a little bit when I felt it was appropriate. But one of the prohibitions of these kinds of spiritual experiences, or paranormal encounters, as I like to call them, is that you shouldn't talk about them too much, because they lose their value every time you retell them, and they get a little bit weaker in your mind, and the genuine lucidity of the thing is very ephemeral, right? It's burning in the moment. But yeah, we call that the mystic moment in Taoism. We say that Tao is indescribable, intangible, inaudible, and all of these things, right? Like it's beyond words. But in the mystic moment, it becomes tangible, it becomes visible, it becomes audible, right? And you experience it. And it's those mystic moments that, at least in Tao, that we work towards in our cultivation, because we all have very similar experiences and these things play out. That's the very first time I read that in Martin Buber's book, that happened to a Chinese poet. And so, like the poet, same thing. I learned the flute. He learned the flute. Nobody wanted to hear it. Find an opportunity to play it for the gods. The gods responded. And later, it says for him, at least, he became famous and people wanted to hear it. Maybe it's the exact same song. I'll have to do a little research and find out where Martin Buber got that story and where it relates, because there's probably a Chinese idiom related to it. And it may be the same song that I learned to play on the flute. And that would just be the way things work, man. It wouldn't be a coincidence. It'd be a synchronicity. It'd be a part of the Tao. All right, y'all good looking sexy people, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because it looks like it's the wrong time of day to get some folks to come here and chitter chat a little bit. Yeah. First thing in the morning for most of you, or last thing in the evening for others. So I'm going to go ahead and roll off into the abodes of the future. Before I do, I will play that lovely song that We All Come From the Goddess to finish off the show for today. And then I'll jump back in for just a moment and say goodbye. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Might not be able to find it. I got things scattered all over the place here in the files. And, you know, it would behoove an individual to take a moment and set things in proper order. It would make it definitely easier to access all of them. But, you know, it is what it is. If you try to get things perfect, you'll never get them done. So just get in there and get at them, all right? I learned that early on, like trying to make a broadcast perfect or line up everything perfect. That's when it ultimately all falls apart anyway. So here it is here. We all come from the goddess, guys. And then I'm going to roll off into the abodes of the future. Much love and Merry Christmas. Shabbat Shalom to everybody out there in Happy Land.
We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. Hoof and horn, hoof and horn, all that die shall be reborn. Corn and grain, all that fall shall rise again. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. Sage and crone, wisdom's gift shall be our own. Crone and sage, wisdom is the gift of age. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean.
All right. That's going to do it, Wayfarer. I hope you are doing well on this Christmas day as we head into the new year. Keep doing good magic. I will see all of you in the abodes of the future. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Check me out on buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. And until next time, Wayfarer, keep doing good magic. Bye for now.